So good morning again, guys. So today we will see some other interesting topics. Previously, we have done with creating the property files and the property utils. We have handled the exceptions. We also used the try with resources and all other stuff. Today, we'll try to check whether this whole test is working fine and in browser stack as well. So before that, we have developed one particular test case, right? So there is a scope for improvement here as well. So if you notice, we are using init driver method that basically initialize the driver using the driver factory and then setting that to the thread local variable. Good. This is fine. But let's say you have new testers, not only you have other people working on your project. So what happens? They don't know that you have used a before method to set the driver. They are not aware of this. So what they are doing, they are again calling this. Okay. So if you are calling the init driver method 2 times. Okay, then what happens? Okay, first time it will go, it will set all the things for you, and the second time it will again do it. Okay, and most of the time in case of web browsers, what happens? You open 2 Chrome browsers. Okay, one will remain idle, another one will be there. Okay, so whenever you are quitting, again it will quit. So there is unnecessary stuff that is happening. Okay, so what we can do to avoid these kind of things? Okay, first think how much effort is needed. Okay, you cannot shield people from making mistake, but if the amount of efforts involved is very less, in order to avoid these kind of silly mistakes that other people can make, if it is very less, you can do it. So in our case, it can be easily possible. So if someone is calling this method twice or third time or fourth time, it doesn't matter. Okay, we can stop them by applying a simple if condition, so that this won't happen. Okay, let's go to the driver class again. So let's do a null check. Okay, okay if driver manager, that's where the whole thing is there, right? Get driver. Okay, since this is already statically imported, I don't have to do this. If get driver, okay, is null, because the default value of this will be null. Okay, if it is null, then only you do this all this operation. Okay, so the first time they are calling it, okay, it will be null, it will execute this and it will execute these 3 code. But the second time when they are calling this, it will not be null, because now the first time itself it would have set some value to the driver, so the reference is not null anymore. So this condition won't satisfy, so this will not get executed. Again, this is okay if you write equal to null check, but there is also a better way of doing this, because the objects class in Java that is coming from java.util package is having some pre-built methods is null, where you can directly pass get driver. So they have already written the code for that, so you don't have to write it yourself. So return object equal to null. So instead of you writing this, they have already wrote this. So we're just using it for our use case. Okay, it's not wrong that if you use a equal to null, but this is more readable. And if you also want to do a static import of this, it will just become. So let's say I want to do a static import on this, so it becomes is null. If get driver is null, then do this, otherwise ignore it. So the code becomes more readable now. Okay, good. So the same way, if it is in your quit driver, we are quitting the browser and then we are removing the value from the thread local variable. Okay, so now this becomes to null. Okay, suppose let's say sometimes they might call the quit command twice. Okay, they might also do here else. Okay, let's remove this. After clicking on this, okay, my program ended. So what I will do, uh, get driver dot quit. Okay, I can call from here. So if someone is calling like this, what can happen? Or they are using the uh, driver dot quit driver, something like this. Okay, driver dot quit driver. So they're calling this method twice. So again, there is a probability of people making mistakes. So we can avoid this by using a simple comparison again. So we go here, we will check. Okay, if get driver not equal to null, if it is already unloaded, if those things are already done, then you don't have to execute all these things. Okay, if it is not equal to null, then do it. If it is equal to null, then You don't have to execute this piece of code. Again, not equal to null, you can write the code like this, or you can also use, there is something called as non-null that is coming from your objects class, where you can pass the get driver. Okay, good. So now it is more readable and more clean, right? So that's it. So we have avoided a simple piece of mistake that people can make. Okay, so that's it. So first we have run like this, and what we can do next is we can try to run two test cases. Maybe let's copy this. Okay, we'll try to execute two test cases. For now I am just naming it as swipe test, even though it is just doing a simple tapping. But for now, yeah. So there is swipe test, tap test. I want to check whether both of them are working fine. So let me go to the test.ng.xml. I have a tap test and swipe test. Okay, let's try to run it and then check whether both are working fine. Okay. So I just want to check two consecutive tests whether it is working. Okay, before we proceed further, we'll also try to run it on browser stack and then check whether it is also working fine. Anyone who is actually working on a mobile automation project in their company? So sorry guys, you can also see the execution here. So the next test is launching. It is also getting passed, right? So both the tests got passed. Now I want to run this in browser stack. So what I can do, I can directly go to the config properties, and I can change this to browser stack, right? So again, this might be a little confusing, whether they need to type the full name browser stack or what, I don't know. They might be confused. So what you can do, you can just copy this, okay, copy this and go to the property file. Where is the property file? Yeah, we can go here and add a comment on top of it. Okay, you can use # symbol. So now you are telling them, okay, you can use only these. Okay, so they can easily enter BS or Sauce Labs or whatever. Okay, so yeah, so let's try to run it and then check whether everything is working fine. I'm not opening the browser stack, guys, but anyways, if the test is getting passed here, it will be paused. We could have seen the video in the browser stack as well. Anyone working on a real-time automation project in their company now? As I just want to check what cloud provider you are using. If you are using any cloud provider, you want to try out that, we can also try if they have some free trial demos, for some time. So no one is working on a mobile automation project. Okay. So if you notice, both the tests got passed, but this time it didn't execute it in my local. It is executed in the browser stack cloud. Okay, good. So everything is working fine, it seems so far. So let's move ahead and try to, I'll remove this code. Okay, I just added this to check whether two consecutive tests are working fine. This is also working fine, so it's good. Now what else we can do? I see this is a problem. Okay, this shouldn't be here. The find element, all this logic needs to go to the page layers. Okay, so let's start building our page layers. Okay, I'll create a new one. Let's take name it as pages dot. Let me name the first page that we see normally is a home page. Okay. Okay. Now we could have used. We can use page factory that we normally use. Okay. I don't use, but people normally use a page factory. We can also use that. You can also use by locators, as you already know. And then we can also use string locators. Okay. You have all these options. It depends upon you what you want to do with it. Okay. So let's say first we'll do all these things. Okay. For now, first we will do at the rate. And if you notice, there is something very specific. Okay. Android find by. So this Android find by will actually give you, Android element. Okay. So you can also use this. And here you can tell XPath equal to some value. Okay. So we already have the XPaths here. So I'm just cut this and pasting it here. Okay. And now we can also tell private Android elements. So let's name it as views. Again, people normally write this in 2 lines for more readability. You can also do that. Yeah. So you can write like this. Again, guys, if you are also working on an iOS element, then also you can write XCUI the rate. It's not coming. The rate XC. Okay, we'll see that why it is not coming. We'll see that later. But yeah, you can use Android find by to find this as an Android element. Okay, you can also use at the rate just find by. Okay, if you use just at the rate find by, you might not get a lot of options. So let's say I want to check using that is very specific to Android, that is accessibility. You might not see the accessibility option here. Okay, so if you want more specific options to Android, then use Android find by. Now if you notice, we can get an option like accessibility. So you can use accessibility ID, and then if you just pass views, that is more than enough. So this is the difference between accessibility ID and your the at the rate find by and your find by. Okay, the find by is your basic one that is coming from your Selenium code that we normally use, right? So that will not have accessibility ID, UI automator thing, and other stuff. Okay, if you want a very Android specific thing, then you can use it. Okay, good. So you can also add, in terms of by locators and string locators, we'll do that in the second next page. So in this page we will also create public homepage. I'm creating a constructor so that we can initialize this page factory elements. That's the problem with page factory. You have to you have to do some efforts to initialize them. So let's say previously in normal way we use page factory dot init elements, and okay, and then we'll just pass the driver and the object class. But in this case, you have to use a field decorator. So let me tell you how to do this. New Appium field decorator. Okay, and then here you pass your driver manager dot get driver. So basically, the driver is available in the form of like this. And now you can pass the class. Okay, either you can tell homepage dot class, or you can just mention it as this. Okay, which actually indicates homepage, right? So yeah, so based upon this, you can initialize this. Now, what else we can create? So I can also create public, let's say a void, click on views. Okay, click on views. Okay, I can create a method like this, and this method I want to click on views. So I can write basically, okay, as simple as that. So you can call this from your test class, and we can also check whether it is working. Okay. Let's remove all these things. We don't need this anymore. So let's create an homepage dot click on views. Again, guys, I'm not passing around and playing with the driver reference. Normally, people pass this homepage. They overload the homepage constructor with the driver, and then they pass it and do all the stuff. But since we have already a static reference to this driver manager dot get driver, we can directly get it. Okay, I'm not playing around by passing it here and there. Okay, no need of all those things. Okay, good. So yeah, we have done like this. So let's check whether it is working till here. Okay. I think this test is still will run on browser stack. Okay, I didn't change the settings, but that's okay. Let it run there, no problem. As long as we see a pass, we can be sure that it's getting passed. Okay. I can also open browser stack. The test is getting passed. Okay. So if you notice, this is the one that ran recently, and it found this using XPath, and then it also clicked on it. And we don't have to wait for the video. If you want, you can also do that. Good. So Yeah, so it's basically working fine, right? So this is the first way. So what's the problem with this? Can anyone tell what's the problem with using page factory? And I also want to show a page like this for you guys to. Okay, I have a page like this, and I have 3, 6, 9, and almost 12 elements in this particular page, and I'm using a page factory. Can you guys tell what is the problem with this code?
Like you told, right, in one of your video, like there are two problems. One is tail reference exception, and another is you cannot use dynamic export.
Yeah, so stale element reference exception will not happen in native apps. Okay, that is only related to Selenium, where you have a lot of ajax calls, making your element to become stale. All those things are happening in your Selenium. Yeah, that can happen if in Selenium, but this is are all very simple native apps. They don't have any ajax calls, so there is no probability of stale element reference exception happening in a native app. Okay, so this will not happen. So the second point that you have mentioned is dynamic locators. Yes, you cannot still use a dynamic locators here. If you guys observe, all these elements are almost having same properties. Okay, the only thing, if I change, this is the X path. Okay, if I just change views with another word, let's say animation, it will click on animation. If I change the views to app, it will click on app. So only thing that is changing is your text value, right? So I don't have to actually write in this case. Basically, I need to create a 12 different elements. Let's say I'll create one more. Suppose if I want to create for animation, I have to create like this: animation, something like this. So I have to create for 12 different elements, and also for 12 elements I need to create one wrapper method. So this is something that I see, it's not needed, right? We could have optimized this if we have used a string as a locator. So we'll do that in the next page. Okay, so we have, let me unlock my mobile, and if I go inside views, okay, if you notice, I have animation, all those auto complete, all those stuffs are there. In the next page we will use string as the locator, and see how this can optimize our code. Again, clicking on views is, let's assume that is returning me a new page, right? So basically I can do the chaining of that. Let's go slowly. So let's create one more page. Let's create another page called as views landing page. Okay, this views landing page. Okay, I'm going to use a string locator strategy. So let's take an example. Okay, again guys, I would have used private. Okay, so again guys, if you are using a web element declaration, all those stuff, use private, because we are not going to access this anywhere outside of this class. So please use private. Okay, don't use public just for the name of using public. Okay, now in this page again, what I'm going to do, I want to create private string. Let's name it as there are a lot of element here. Name it drag and drop. We will use drag and drop for our use case. Okay, drag and drop, and this drag and drop is having X path. So we'll copy paste from here. Again, I'm using just X path. Again guys, please use whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay, again the content description is a better one to use. Okay, so you can also make this as a final. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so okay, I don't want to make it because I'm going to dynamically change this. So let's take I'll use a percentage s here. Okay, if you use a percentage s, okay, maybe I'll use a different wildcard. Let's take a replaceable string. Okay, so this is an XPath string. If I replace this with my value, then I can actually get the actual locator. Okay, so let's try to do it. Okay, let's take an example: public void click a menu item. Okay, let's name it as click a menu item, because this is going to be very generic. Okay, click a menu item. Okay, so how I'm going to click a menu item? So let's take a string new XPath. New XPath is basically the drag and drop dot replace. Okay, I'm going to replace certain thing. Okay, what is that? I'm going to replace this particular value, okay, with the new value that is coming from, let's take a string menu name. Okay, I'm going to replace this menu name. Okay, so this is the new XPath. Now I can find an element using this. Let's take a driver manager, driver dot find element, and by dot XPath, whatever the XPath you have, new XPath. Okay, dot click. Okay, this way we don't have to create, suppose let's say this page is having a lot of elements, guys. Okay, it's having a lot of elements. Okay, so it's having a lot of elements. You don't have to create all these elements. That's unnecessary work, right? I see people doing this. Okay, so now we have simply using this cool technique, we'll do that. Okay, let's go to the tab test.
Amudan,
And
one doubt I have.
yeah,
Sorry,
please.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, Amudan, like you have created a page like view lending page. So if I have a, like uniquely, like I have some ID in that page. So can I mix that one, like you have replacement XPath and another XPath like ID XPath. So in the same page, can I create like multiple XPaths?
same test, multiple
No,
XPaths.
no. Yeah, actually, I mean to say like in a page like there is some like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
If
unique XPath are there, and some are like this type, like
okay.
we can
Yeah, you
replace.
can mix and match. Yeah, you can use by locators or other things here. That shouldn't be a
Okay,
problem. Okay, if there is
okay,
everything is also common, then you can just create one. Suppose you cannot, suppose there are some elements that don't satisfy this rule, then you can create it separately, like normally how you do using
okay,
by locator or a string, whatever you feel
okay.
comfortable. Okay,
Yeah, I got. Thank you.
good. Guys, don't feel awkward to stop me, because if you don't stop me at the time that you don't understand, whatever you are going to hear after, for another 10 minutes or 15 minutes will be of waste. Okay, so whenever you have a doubt, please feel free to stop. Okay, that's okay. Okay, I'll I know, where, to pick up from where I have stopped. So you don't have to worry about that. So please feel free to stop me whenever you have doubt. Okay. So, okay, let's go to the tab test. Okay. Now I want to create a new views landing page. Okay. And then dot click a menu item. Now I need to tell what is the menu item that I want to click. Okay. Let's take an example of drag and drop. Okay. You can give the same text. Okay. Drag and drop. Okay, I want to click on this menu item. Okay, let's check whether it is working. Okay, and my device is logged. Let it get unlocked. Okay, sorry. Yes, I think it is running on browser stack, so it's not needed. This is a previous video I record. Yeah, it's okay. So this the particular test is getting passed. So basically, it has clicked on this particular drag and drop. Okay, let's wait for the video maybe, so that we can also see what's happening. So basically, see, if you notice the logs, it has found the views. It has also found the XPath, drag and drop. So it has replaced the string, replaceable with the whatever the string that we passed. So we are constructing the XPath dynamically. So this is very cool, right? So okay, you can also see here. So it's clicked on drag and drop. It went to drag and drop screen. Cool. So this is actually working fine. So how can we optimize this further? See, again, this replaceable, all those things. So if you have a string, okay, and then you want to replace some word in that, okay, then you can also use normally the wildcards that we know, that is %s. Okay, if you use a %s, then instead of using replace as a method, what you can also do, again, guys, if you are comfortable with using this, use that. I'm telling you another way. So there is a method called format. Okay, what this format will do, you give me the string, okay, drag and drop, okay, wherever the percentage s is there, I will replace them with the whatever the string you are mentioning. Okay, that's it. It'll automatically understand that it has to replace percentages. That is a string value. Okay, and then with this, whatever the value that we passed. Okay, now this will give me a new string. Okay, so this will give me actually the new string. Okay, let's say this is old XPath and this is new XPath. Okay, this will also will work. Again, if people who are comfortable, you can use this. But you know, when you have a lot of replacing terms, then it becomes more unreadable. Okay, dot replace of, first you will give like this, and then if you want to replace one more string, then you will use again replace. Okay, again you replace, you will add one more here, replace one, replaceable one, something like this, and you will replace with some other value. Okay, so it becomes a little noisy. Okay, that's when this becomes picture. So if you have percentages, you just mention percentages wherever you want to do. Let's assume you have an XPath like this. Okay, if you guys are still not private string, drag and drop some names. Okay, don't worry about the name for now. So text equal to something like this. Percentage is okay. So you have something like this, and and also you have some, we want to check something. Okay, let's id at the rate id equal to some value. Okay, this value also you want to pass. Okay, you can simply mention percentage yes, that's it. Okay, that's it. So in this case, you just pass one more value here. Okay, whatever the value that you want to pass, you can pass it here. So you just need to mention percentages. So that's the beauty about using string.format. And guys, string.format is a easy method. Okay, to do this task. So if you're comfortable the old way, you can also do that, but I would recommend this way. Again, you know, this dynamic XPath we might be using in plenty of places, so I don't want to restrict this here. So I can create a separate class to hold this logic. Okay, okay, let's do it. Okay, let's create a new class. Let's name it as okay, I don't want to create here. Sorry guys. Dynamic XPath utils. Okay, here I don't want someone to extend this. Dynamic XPath utils. I don't want to expose my constructor because all I'm going to have is a static method. So I have to have it as public static get dynamic XPath, or simply get XPath is more reasonable name. Okay, and it will return a string. And what I'm going to do, so I'm going to receive string of XPath, okay, and string of value. So whatever the XPath that you are giving, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do string.format that XPath with whatever the value that you're passing. That's it. If your XPath is having percentage yes, it will be replaced with this particular value. That's it. I'm going to return the same string. So we have just reused, you know, created this as a method so that we can use it in multiple places. Okay. So let's go to here, and then we remove all this logic. Okay, all this logic, and you can now use dynamic XPath dot get XPath. You pass drag and drop, and you pass the menu name. Okay, that's it. Now this will give you the new XPath. So let me name it as a new XPath so that we don't have to new XPath. Okay, good. That's it. Now this class will take care of all these things. Okay, if you want, you can also do a static import on this. Okay, so get XPath. So this becomes more readable. Okay, so this is it, guys. So I hope everyone understand this, how this works. If not, please tell me no. Okay, can you guys follow till here? Guys, I need some yes or no so that I can proceed further.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. So you can handle like this. There is also a different way of handling this. Okay. Let's assume you have no, maybe I'll go to uh, text and then no, I'll go to text. Okay, text menu, and then in this one I want to use a different way. Again, guys, we have used string. We can also use by. I hope you also know how to use by locators. That is also fine. But I also want to use lambdas and streams, and that in those cases also we can do it. Maybe we'll see that later. I think what else I can cover for today. I don't want to touch something very new. Okay, I have something pending. Okay, that is method chaining. Okay, so let's see. Let's take we are creating an object and then we are calling on views. Okay, and then we are again creating an object for the views landing page, and then we are again calling this. So what if there is a way that on clicking on the views, on clicking on views, we know that it will return you views landing page, right? It will return you news landing page. So what I can basically tell here is I'm going to return a views landing page. Okay, views landing page. So since this is returning a new views landing page, you don't have to write this piece of code here. Okay, you don't have to write this piece of code here. You can just directly append it here. Okay, good. But when we are using dynamic XPath like this, okay, you don't know what is the menu that is coming. Okay, sometimes they will give drag and drop. At that time, you have to return drag and drop page. So if they are returning views, then you need to return views landing page. So this little tricky, right? So there is way to handle it using generics and all of the stuff. But if you are not comfortable, you can return void. It is not mandatory. It is not mandatory that you need to chain all of them. Okay, if you are comfortable with the older way, that's okay. Do it. At some point of time, you may add a method chaining like this. Okay, if you want to chain methods within the same class, then you can return this. Okay, but in this particular app, there is no other way. If you are clicking on one element, it will return you a different page element. Okay, so you cannot I cannot explain that method chaining within the class using this operator. So I think that is done. What else? I will cover the reporting part tomorrow. Maybe we can complete the drag and drop test. But you guys are already done that. Yeah.
Amuthan, can we do like we'll have an page action class, and this dot click dot instead of appending it dot click and dot some send keys.
Yeah. I know where you are coming, but it will take some time. I have to explain a lot of things, so that's why I'm not covering it today. Maybe tomorrow when I start fresh, I will do that. Okay, I'll come there. We'll do it, but not today. We have only 20 minutes, so I don't want to stop in between. I don't want to confuse you. It will take a little bit of time, so I want to take this on the day. Okay. In the meantime, I can cover one more thing. Okay, I got. Let's take you have a lot of things like in your local driver implementation, all those stuff. If you notice, we are hard coding the path like this. Okay, you don't have to hard code the path like this. We can actually we have something called as configuration.properties. Okay, in this configuration.properties, we should keep only the things. Okay, we should keep only that are changed pretty often. That are changed often. Okay, often. Okay, so whatever the thing that you want your manual testers to change. Okay, suppose they want to have the option to change the where they are running the test. Okay, it is more reasonable. Okay, we can allow them to do it. But if you notice the APK file path, what is that? Where is this is located? Where is the Excel file is located? Where is the property files are located? All these things are unnecessary for them, right? If you can also keep it here. Okay, you can keep like my APK file path. equal to src test resources. All those things you can mention, but I don't see a complete relevance to this. Okay, they are not going to change it anyways. Okay, if they change it, my program will not work. Then why should I give them the option? Okay, I need to give them the option only if they change it, it will automatically work. Okay, we should not give them a lot of work. Okay, so let's remove it. Okay, because let's say you are giving src test resources some path here. Okay, and then they are trying to run it. Okay, will it work? Will not work, right? So there is no reason that you have to mention this and all of the stuff. Okay, so let's remove it. Only keep things that people can change. Manual testers or your product owners or whoever who wants to run the test cases can change from here. Only the important stuff they want to change, not your locators. Okay, not your excel sheet path where you are maintaining all these things. Okay, that's completely wrong. Okay, good. So now let's go to our local. We have kept the path like this. So how can optimize this? Okay, let's create a class. Okay, which can hold all these things for us. Okay, let's create a class in a package called as constants. Okay, let's name it as framework constants. Okay. Now there are multiple ways to create this class. Okay, first easiest way is you make this class as final so that nobody extend this, and private framework constants. Okay, I'm stealing my constructor because it's all going to have a static final variables, final string, apk file path, right? So apk file path. Okay, and what is a file path? Okay, let's go there. Control E. Okay, so you have the file path here. Okay, let's cut it and paste it here. Okay, this is the file path. And we also have one more file path. Okay, maybe here you can reference this using, you can create a getter method. Okay, let's go to framework constants. Again, guys, you can expose this as a public. Okay, but you will not get a lot of options. If you're not going to do anything with the path, you are not going to do a lot of stuff, then you can directly give it as a public access and then you can access it. But we don't know what may come in the future, so I'm just giving us a public private and using the getter methods. Okay, I'm generating a getter method for this, and now I will use this getter method in my code. Okay, and I see it could have been apk file path. Okay, could have been like this. Okay, let's call this from there. Okay, command okay, framework constants dot get apk file path. That's it. Okay, again you can do a static import on this. Okay, control 1 and add import static import. Okay, good. Now we also have property utils. Okay, where we have also written some code. Okay, this is the code that we have written, and if you have noticed, we are hard coding the path. Let's also take this path away, and let's go to the framework constants class, and here we can also add one more. Config file path. Okay, something like this, and you can also generate a getter for this. Okay, create like this. Okay, now here you can mention framework constants. Get config file path. Good. And yeah, we are done. I think this should work. But if you notice, we are actually repeating certain things. Okay, system.get property till resources is almost common. Okay, maybe you can create one more variable. So let's say private static final string or resources path. Okay, and you can just mention till here. Okay, and here you don't have to mention the whole path. You can just mention resource path. Okay, now this is more readable, and if you want to change move your resources to another directory or some other places, you can directly change it here. Okay, so this way you can create your framework constants and then you can use it in your code. We can also do other ways, right? How many of you know about Lombok plugins?
I know.
Okay, good. Anyone else? So we are creating a lot of static, getter methods, right? If you can use a Lombok, it can also generate the Lombok, the getter method for you automatically. So you don't have to use it. So let's create a new class. Let's take a framework constants with Lombok. Okay, and here also you can do a lot of ways. Okay, let's check first whether I have added the Lombok plugin in my pom.xml. So I don't have it here. So let's go and fetch it from the Lombok dependency. Okay, I think this is the latest version they have. Then, sorry, this dependencies tag I don't need. I think it has downloaded the dependencies for me. So let's go here and let's copy some code. Okay, let's take this code. Okay, copy it and paste it here. Now you can, if you are having a static variables, then what you can mention is basically @ getter. Okay, that's it, guys. This would have already created the getter method for you. Yeah, Mudan, how can I believe you? Okay, that's it. It would have created a method for you. You can de-Lombok and see the code, or there is other way. Let's take you want to access this from here. Okay, so framework constants with Lombok dot. If you notice, it has actually created get config file path, get apk file path, get resources file path. Okay, so this is what I'm mentioning. So this Lombok can actually generate the getters for you. Okay, so you don't have to create those getters and then change it, all those stuff. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. It will create it for you. So this is one of the use case of there are a lot of things it can do, but first one is using it can also generate the getter methods. Okay, if you want to see the de-Lombok code, so let's say, see, the Lombok is a project that these guys has developed and then given it for open source. What it does is, in Java we write a lot of boilerplate codes. This Lombok plugin can help you to write or avoid all those boilerplate codes. Okay, so if you notice, just by adding 3 tags, we don't have to do it. Okay, if it is not a static one, let's assume if it is not a static one. Okay, let's assume we don't have it as a static. Okay, all these variables are basically your class variables, and you need to actually create a object to access this. Then in those cases you can just mention getter. Okay, that's it, @ getter, which means it will create all those stuff for you. Let's go to the other class and see whether we can see it. Okay, new framework constants with Lombok, because we need to create an object for that. And if you notice, we can also see all these things just by adding on top of your class name. It has generated all the getter methods for you. Okay, so again, we need to create a object every time to access this. So we can actually use a singleton pattern. Okay, let's take, you are implementing like this. Okay, framework constants using the Lombok, you are doing like this. Let's take, then first time I want to access, I am creating a new object. Okay, I'm creating a new object and then accessing get config file path. Okay, next time I want to use, okay, I'm using framework constants with Lombok dot get use APK file path. Okay, every time in different places you are creating a new object to access this. The only purpose of creating the object is to access them. Okay, access these non-static variables. So then you can implement a singleton pattern here. Okay, so we'll see that what is it. So the first problem what I see is we are creating objects for every time we want to call it. So basically we are creating a new object in the heap. Okay, new object in the heap. So yeah, but this object has no purpose apart from, this can be same reference also, right? For us, at the end of the day, we just need to access it. That's it. Okay, so in those cases, you can directly use a singleton pattern. So singleton pattern can be used if you want to have just only one instance. Okay, here maintaining, so here having different instances is no use. I don't need a different instance because it is not, I don't want any immutability or all those stuff. I just want the same instance just to access the non-static methods. In these cases, okay, we can also use a singleton pattern. Okay, let's extend this class to a singleton pattern. Okay, so I find a problem. The problem is I am creating to call these non-static methods. I need to create new object every time, which I see as a overload. So in those cases, you can also use a singleton pattern. Okay, what is singleton pattern? Okay, singleton pattern tells, okay, singleton design pattern. Okay, it basically tells you can have only one instance of a particular class at a, for a particular period of time. Okay, you cannot have multiple instances. You cannot call new framework constants with lumbar, new framework constants with lumbar. So in this case, we are basically having two instances. Okay, one is this, one is this. So you cannot have two. It will restrict you to have only one. Okay, how can we do that? Okay, it's a very simple, guys. So you have understood what is singleton right now. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create static framework constant. Return. Let's say for now it's null. I will explain this. Okay. Now, what I do, I return okay. So what I'm doing, okay. So I have created a new reference for this. Okay. If someone has to get the instance for this particular method, they will only call the get instance. Okay. The first time that they are calling this get instance, I will do a check. Okay. If this is null, okay, by default this will be null, right? So if it is null, then it will create a new reference. Okay, it will create a new object and it will load it into this particular reference, and then we will return it. The next time they are calling it, this is not null anymore. So what will happen? It will directly return this. Okay, so at any point of time you will have only one instance. So how can we use this in our code? You can directly go here. Okay, and now what I can do, I can just tell dot get instance. That's it. Okay, you forget about all the logic. Now get instance, you can, I want the APK file path. Good. Next time you want to use, you can use framework constants dot get instance dot config file path. Okay, you can use like this. Even though you are calling get instance multiple times, it actually returns you the same instance. So you are actually doing some memory management. Okay, good. This works fine in a thread, non-threaded environment, which means a single thread. But in a multi-threaded environment, this can cause some issues. Okay, when you are trying to do read and write, but in our case we are just trying to do only the reading. Okay, even though it can be okay, but I just add one more word, that is synchronized, in the method name. So what it does, okay, if there are two threads trying to access it, okay, if there are two threads trying to access this particular method at the same time, then what it will does, the synchronized, it will only allow only one thread to go inside. When the first thread goes inside, okay, it will do all these changes. Okay, the next thread, when it goes, okay, now the object will not be null, so it will directly return this. Okay, so just add this particular piece of code. You don't have to worry about too much, but yeah, this will work in all the cases. Okay, and since we are only doing the reading operation, even if you don't mention synchronized, it won't cause any issues. But yeah, it's a good practice. You can mention synchronized. Again, there are a lot of other ways of implementing singleton. This is one of the easiest way to do it. Okay, good. Okay, guys, if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Otherwise, we will close the session.
Yeah, Amudan, I have a doubt. Like it is a general doubt. Like Amudan, in Selenium, we have switch statement. Like we can switch to frame if our element is inside the frame. So in Appium, is there any like same concept we can apply, or some different thing is there in Appium?
In native apps, there is no frames, no shadow domes, nothing like that. Okay.
Okay.
Native apps are very clean. Okay, directly find the element, click it. The only thing is, okay, sometimes you may need to scroll down to click it. That's it. It might not be visible to you. Okay, so you have to scroll down using UI Automator, or you have to use the code that we have generated at the last, whether using driver.find elements. We will check the size, whether the size is 0 or not. If the size is 0, we will scroll down and then again check for the presence of the element. So using any of these two techniques, you have to scroll down and click on it. That's the only tricky part in automating a native app. Okay, apart from that, the native apps are pretty clean, so they don't cause a lot of issues. Okay.
Okay.
Got it right?
Yes, Amudan.
To answer your question, native apps, no. But if you're testing your, okay, if you're testing your application on a mobile Chrome browser, okay, there
Okay.
it will behave the same way. It will have the frames, it will have all those concepts. Okay. But the
Okay.
native apps won't have any such issues.
So Amudan, one more question. Like Amudan, if we are putting like if I'm putting like 2 years of experience in Appium, so can I tell them like can I like in real time, can we use like our real devices in automating the Appium test cases, or only we have to use cloud provider?
See, you can use a real device. Okay, if you have a lot of devices, or if your use case is to just to test on only one device, you can use a real device. In the cloud, actually, what we are doing is we are accessing the real device remotely. That's it. Okay.
No, but Amudan, actually, what will be the best answer to like if they will ask me like in your project what you have used, cloud provider or real device? So
We have used browser stack.
okay.
Tell them that you have used, because you actually used browser stack, right?
Yes.
So you tell them that you have used browser stack. Then they may ask why you went for browser stack. See, our application is a customer facing application. It's a native application, and it has to be tested on multiple Android versions, on multiple screen sizes, and running on multiple phone manufacturers like Samsung, Huawei, all of those stuff. So it is not possible for us to maintain a huge list of devices to do the testing. So in order to do the devices compatibility testing, we used browser stack, and we normally run our test cases in the browser stack cloud. You can mention them that I have created a framework that is thread safe. So we actually executed five parallel threads, and we could get the result in maybe 30 minutes or 30 minutes. Okay.
Okay. So Amudan, one request, like at the end of the our training, so can you take one class at least this type of doubt, like how to prepare for interview for Appium? So
you can ask me anytime. It's not like if you want a dedicated session, we can do it. But yeah, you can ask it anytime. It's not mandatory that you have to wait till last to have to to ask this question. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Amutan, one question.
Yeah.
So far we have automated, the actions, the launching and everything. So, my question was, can we automate this start and stop of this APM server, because we need to go manually start server?
We will do it. We'll do it. We are not yet there. We'll do it.
Okay, 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 okay,
Okay.
okay.
So that's when the APM command line interface comes into picture.
Okay.
We will go there. We will first create the framework. We have to integrate with the extend reports. We need to
Mhm,
create page actions,
mhm,
and then we need to use data providers. Okay. At the end, I will tell you how to do that, because if I go
mhm,
there now, it will again confuse you. For now, just manually start them and then run it.
mhm,
There is a way to actually kickstart them using all those stuff using your code itself. Basically, you
mhm,
can create a batch file and then call it from your Java code.
mhm,
There are other ways also. We can do any of those, but we will learn about the APM command line interface. That will
mhm,
be taught to you guys. Don't worry about it.
mhm. And one more thing, this config properties, right?
Hmm.
Config properties, instead of maintaining a file and handling it, this exception and all,
Hmm.
can we use JSON it is just a simple key value, just access key value and
Yeah, you
do
can
it.
use JSON.
Mhm,
Absolutely, you can use JSON. See, if you even check my Selenium Java playlist, I have used JSON also. So JSON is
mhm,
nothing. You can use a Jackson library
mhm,
to convert that into a form of map. Directly, you can convert to a form of map, and then you can use the get value method and then do it. Okay.
Then we don't have to use this file handling exception and all these 10, 8, 5 to 6 lines will be eliminated.
Yeah, you can do that. See, the
Mhm,
only reason why I took a property files is it's because it's used mostly.
mhm,
Again, I want to cover this try with resources, static blocks, and exception handling. That's the reason I picked this. I could have
mhm,
used a JSON file. It would have made my life easy. I
mhm,
would have saved 1 hour. But yeah, I just want to cover you guys. Okay,
mhm,
cover how things work. Again, even this, instead of using file input stream, there is
mhm,
a Jackson library mapper class that is available to map your
mhm,
property file into a pojo or into a hash map. Okay,
mhm,
I could have directly used that code and then used it. Okay, you can also
mhm,
do that. There are a lot of ways to read a property file and put it into a map. There
mhm.
are ways to read a JSON and put it into a map.
Okay.
Anything what you find suitable, you can use that. I want to demonstrate about these things existed. Then only see, if you only know that these things exist, you can learn. Okay,
Okay.
I my
Mhm.
intention is to showcase all these things. Okay,
Okay.
otherwise you will never learn it. You never know what is a better way, how the what is fail safe exception handling, what is all those stuff you will never know, right? So you will keep on writing the same try catch, or whenever you find to the error id is suggesting you to throw an exception, you will throw it. Sometimes you use a try catch. You never know what it is doing internally. So that's the reason why I picked all these things.
Okay.
I have one doubt.